I may go through my thing.
I'm going to bow out because I got to...
Very good,
All right.
sir. Thanks for coming in.
See you, Don.
Let me give you my card, sir.
Okay.
And if you need to be in touch with me, that's how you can do it, sir.
Okay. I'll probably be calling your office.
It's an honor to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, darling.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
See you.
All right, well, this is just some
Tell
questions.
Jean I said hello.
Okay, I will.
And again, it's just, if this generation doesn't protect our Constitution, then there isn't anybody that's gonna, you know. So, this is just some questions. I'll just read the letter to you, and of course this is a copy for you. But it was to Dear Congressman Pearce, staff, and all concerned. To those of us who have studied the primary sources relating to, and I had called the Constitution of the United States of America, CUSA.
Okay.
Sources relating to the CUSA are gravely concerned for some time now nearly all office holders under its powers have disregarded the CUSA. The following questions are being asked to clarify that you and others have not abandoned the CUSA for another form of government. Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 states, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin of tender and payment of debts. Please answer what state is in compliance with this provision. Please answer by what authority a state cannot follow the supreme law of the land. Okay, that's the first question. Second is, Founding Father Roger Sherman, in a constitutional debate and writing the book Caveat Emptor on paper money, was to close or bar forever paper money from use. How is it Congress created the Federal Reserve, which issues paper money? This power was neither delegated to Congress nor able to be redelegated to the Federal Reserve, a private bank. I don't know if you even, Roger Sherman actually signed most of all the founding documents, and he's really omitted in history, but they actually brought up paper money during the debates explicitly, and it was shot down explicitly. And this is a primary source document, was the debates. The Federalist Papers, Anti-Federalist Papers, these are primary sources on the intent of the founders. What had happened was Britain basically had came in and dumped bales of counterfeit continental dollars, which basically made them fall to worthlessness. And of course, right now the Federal Reserve isn't even printing the M3 money supply, which looks like instead of doubling it every decade as they used to, you know, in comparison to productivity and growth, they're doing it almost every 2 years, and they actually quit publishing M3 money supplies. So we don't know how devalued it is, but a lot of the reason gas is $3 is because the dollar is worth half of what it was just 5 years ago. Okay, the Federal Reserve has never been audited. Now, there's been different people trying to audit it since 1913. Henry Gonzalez, who was a Democrat, but he was on the banking committee from Texas, he tried to get it done in the 80s. He wasn't able to do it, but the Federal Reserve has never been audited. I'd please answer why and when will, Congressman Pearce will introduce legislation to audit the Federal Reserve and disclose its owners. We've had a private cartel running our money supply, okay? And this is, again, not in our generation. We're reaping what was done in 1913, okay? But as we review these things, like even when Governor Johnson was governor in New Mexico here, he was wanting to start looking at older laws to see what could stay on the books and what needed to be taken away. And so when we review these decisions that sometimes are 100 years old, we can see that we've inherited a lot of mess only because they haven't followed the original document. Congress could actually create the currency. John F. Kennedy actually had passed an executive order, which still has not been overturned or repealed, as it were, to make U.S. notes, and they could do it without interest. Most of the money that comes to the second question there. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 states, representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to the respective numbers. Please answer which of the several states are in compliance with this provision. Please answer by what authority the Congress and the Internal Revenue Service collect a direct tax called the income tax and thereby subvert the purpose and power of Article 1, Section 2, and Clause 3. This is going to tell you a little bit about the issue and how that came about, but the concern that I wanted to bring was the fact there's a family in New Hampshire right now that they might do a Waco on them, or Ruby Ridge, and it's basically over this issue. And the thing is the direct taxes, other than imports and duties, which they have taken away because of free trade, so-called, was the way government was to be funded. To do a direct tax, you're supposed to divide the number of people, just as you have the number of representatives, but you divide the number of people by the outstanding debt. Well, they've let it grow to $60 trillion if you look at all the things that have to be funded and for different pensions and things like that going out in the years. Divide that by 300 million people and see what they're tapping on. See, they haven't made people pay up front what they're getting. So This is a supreme law of the land, or it's not. So that's my question. Now here's why NAFTA. NAFTA seems to fully disregard the limited powers granted by CUSA, and therefore, please introduce legislation for the termination of NAFTA within 6 months of giving notice. Immigration reform is a fraud, for isn't it true that part of the provisions of NAFTA has open borders decreed at a future date? Okay, so that's my letter to you. That's my questions to him. But that's what your radio thinks, that if we had a federal agency problem, or if we had something that should be brought up before Congress, Congress could take back the reins that the Constitution so wisely gave them, rather than using contracts and international agreements to basically drown us in things that are foreign to us.
Can we go ahead and get your names and phone numbers on the back of this letter, in case the Congressman wants to have a conversation with you?
Well, I have an address here, because I'd rather have things in writing.
Okay.
And I've even asked that basically this here be printed in the, please publish this letter in the local papers with your congressional district, within your congressional district, your responses.
Okay.
So that's how I'd like to have it actually responded to, is to have this verbatimly put in the papers in his district and his response to them. But that's if we really want to be serious about having a country for the next generation or two, we've let this thing just, you know. But everybody's done this. This is the cycle of man. But you know, we don't have to repeat history, do we? Always, you know, can't we just, you know, we don't have to worry about a Nero coming in and burning us for racehorses. Can't we intervene while we still can? So that's what we're here for.
Well, I know you guys are strict constitutionalists and patriots, and it's a privilege to visit with you today. And I've only been on staff since January, and before that I was a Republican activist, a volunteer activist for 30 years. I had a small business, and Congress and I became friends about 10 years ago. And when I retired from my business, he asked if I was going to join him. And so some of the way I have to operate, when I was just a Republican activist, I could go and say and do things pretty much as I felt I wanted to. But now that I'm representing the congressman and have to be his eyes and ears and listen to folks of all walks, of all views, I'm a little bit in a box. I hope you appreciate.
Well, I
hope you appreciate that I cannot.
I was feeling for you when
I can't speak, but my personal views is I've read the Black's Law Dictionary, The Color of Law. I've got friends that are very, very entrenched in your views. In fact, I was visiting with a friend last night, and I wish I'd have brought the piece of paper he gave me, because he's been concerned that now that I'm part of the problem, part of the system,
part of the structure, he might get
that some of the views that he knows I've held for all of my adult life may be infiltrated. And I wish I'd have brought that with me as a beautiful summary of what the founders really meant, what they were driving at, and how they had it right, and what the care and the energy and the discretion and the careful consideration.
Right. And if we'd have just stayed following that,
and how over the years it's just been misinterpreted, and the layers of interpretation and bureaucracy and adjustment based on bureaucrats operating their interpretation of current situations. And that's the other thing that I've noticed, is that the Congress passes a law based on certain intent, but then they engage an agency to operate the thing,
and which totally might turn it all upside down on its head.
Their interpretation and the coming and going within that agency, and the new interpretation, revised interpretation of what was a well